Over the last few months, a number of elements of his reform agenda have been implemented. The first one, and the most visible one, is the fact that now on the ground in about 131 countries and territories, we have a dedicated, full-time, impartial resident coordinator. Until then, or until January 1st, that person was also the head of UNDP. But these are two full-time jobs, and now we can have someone dedicated to the function of coordinating the UN, bringing all the strengths, all the assets, all the resources together to really help governments. That's the one thing. A second thing is the launch of this SDG fund. So it's a global fund that's meant to help the UN in country help governments achieve the SDGs with programmatic resources. And thanks to the contribution of many donors, we're now able to transfer those resources at the country level where it matters, and for the resident coordinators, the UN country teams, to work with government in identifying solutions for their SDG priorities. A third one is the funding compact that was just completed, and that's a document that articulates what member states need to do, what the UN needs to do to really just be fit for purpose for the 2030 agenda. So on the member state side, they are committing to giving the UN more quality funding. And on the UN side, in order to sustain that, the UN agencies are committing to providing better reporting, more transparency, working more together, a number of activities that we think collectively with member states are required if we're gonna be the kind of partner the UN needs to be with governments for the 2030 agenda. Well, what's at stake is really whether the international community and the countries around the world meet their SDG targets. That's really the ultimate goal. If that's not the objective of UN reform, then that's not really important. So what's at stake is progress and meeting the SDG targets by 2030. And then for that, what's at stake for the UN is being the kind of partner member states want it to be in their efforts. As we all know, there is some skepticism around the world when it comes to the value of multilateralism. So this is a real opportunity for the UN development system in particular to renew the trust on the part of member states and the general public in multilateralism and demonstrate that multilateralism is a key answer to the SDG agenda. That's really what's at stake. So that's why we put the funding compact together to show and push the UN system and the member states along two tracks of concrete actions required to make the UN fit for that purpose. That's what's at stake.